have one of the experienced sports journalists on the continent in Africa, Mark Gleeson. A lot of us have been learning a lot from him. Mark, thanks for having you. Thanks for having you.
Yes, absolute pleasure. Sorry about that. Absolute pleasure to be here.
Okay. First of all, let's look at the Black Stars of Ghana and Uruguay. In about 2 hours' time, the two sides will be locking horns. If you look at what happened in 2010, how does it play into tonight's game?
Look, I think there are overtones. It's obviously a great media story. Revenge, chance for Ghana to set the record straight. That's a little bit overblown. It's been interesting to see how Otto Addo has looked to play it down. He looked to play it down every time. The first time it was mentioned, he looked to shut it down. But I think the interesting quote that I saw was from Dede Ayew, and he said, listen, I'm the only guy who was there at the time, who remembers, and these are all youngsters who don't really remember, but they're Ghanaians, and every Ghanaian will remember the hurt of that whole thing. It was a dark moment for football. I think it was a big blow for African football. I thought it was very cheeky yesterday. They put Suarez up for the press conference. It was great, actually, and he did say, look, I didn't miss the penalty. Asamoah Gyan missed the penalty, not me. But that is a factor today, but I don't think at the end of the day it's about Ghana getting a point, Uruguay needing to win, and I think the sights of the players involved is more on they're going to celebrate at the end that they're into the next round. They're not going to celebrate having atoned for 2010, put it that way.
Well, if you are to look at it objectively, Uruguay are yet to score a goal in this tournament. The Black Stars have scored 5, they have conceded 5. They have 3 points, Uruguay have no point. On the face of it, somebody will say Ghana stands a better chance of beating Uruguay. But from Suarez's interview, it's like Uruguay will be coming into this game, to fight and fight very hard. How do you think what happened in 2010 will be able to push Uruguay to at least pick a point or possibly beat the Black Stars in this game?
Yeah, I think Uruguay will be confident because they have a good record against African teams. You must also remember in that same World Cup, they beat South Africa in the second match in the group to basically knock South Africa out. And they have a good record against African sides, so I think they'll have a cocky arrogance about themselves, which is understandable. They're Uruguay. They got to the semi-finals in 2010. They go to every single World Cup. A lot of these players playing third, fourth World Cup. It's a young Ghanaian team, so I think they've got that in their favour. And of course, when you mention what's happened in the last couple of games, I mean, what you've seen in the World Cup now, throw all of that out the window. I mean, look at last night, Japan beating Spain. I mean, really, who would have? You would put your house on Spain winning that game. So, I think you throw form, past results completely out the window in this up to today in this first round, and therefore Uruguay have got as good a chance as Ghana, in my opinion.
Senegal have qualified, Morocco have qualified. It's now the time of Ghana. You think the Black Stars are under pressure to also pick a ticket to the next round of the competition?
I don't know necessarily under pressure, because I think the expectation of the Black Stars is not very high. I mean, Black Stars qualified in a let's say in a meek way. The group with South Africa first of all, and then the game against Nigeria over 2 legs. You have to be fair and say maybe Ghana got a little bit lucky, but that's football. And then, of course, you throw into the fact the worst Cup of Nations in a very long time for the Black Stars. There wasn't much confidence from people like me, African football lovers, but not Ghanaian fanatics. I thought to myself, it's not a great Ghana team, it's not a great Tunisia team, it's not a great Cameroon team. I was hoping Senegal would do well, and you're never sure about the Moroccans because they always have a great side, but they never deliver. They always seem to fall short of expectation. So I'm absolutely delighted with the fact that Senegal, without Mane, get into the next round. Morocco, fabulous win against Belgium, and the crowd support has been magnificent. Tunisia beat France, okay, they're out, but I mean, they leave on a high. And it looks as if, you know, if Ghana go through today, that's the first time ever we have 3 African sides who advance past the first round. I mean, that is a big step forward for African football. So, but pressure on the young boys, I don't think so. I think, listen, the expectation was, it was a tough group. When you got the draw, I think Ghanaians thought, this is going to be hard. We can do it, but it's going to be hard.
Yeah.
And that's exactly the case where we are sitting right now. It's doable, but it won't be easy.
Now, the Black Stars' last 2 games against Portugal, they lost by 3-2. Against South Korea, they won by 3-2. If you look at the 2 games that the Black Stars have played and the performance of the team, comparing it to that of Uruguay, you think the Black Stars have a better chance of beating Uruguay and qualifying, or even picking a draw?
Yeah, I think again I would say that's immaterial. You know, I mean, I think the first game when they played 3 at the back, 3 centre backs, I thought, what is this coach doing here? Ghana, that's not Ghana. Ghana is not and Ghana were in the first half against Portugal. You were chasing shadows. In the second half, came a little bit alive, and once they scored the Portuguese goal, then you had to push forward. That's Ghana's game. Ghana's is attacking side, attacking players. 3 centre backs for Ghana, big mistake in my opinion, and a conservative approach from a Ghanaian without Ghanaian attitudes in his system. He's a German,
yeah,
and the conservativeness of the German in him overrode the Ghanaian in him. I've never seen a Ghanaian team with 3 centre backs, and there's too much attacking talent. So when he made the changes, and kudos to him that he did so, when he made the changes for the second game, and the change of the fullbacks, I wasn't so sure about. I see they've changed them back again now, but the fact he dropped the one centre back Jiku, and he brought Jordan Ayew on, that did the business for me. I'm not a Jordan Ayew fan. I think he never passes the ball. He irritates me. But my word, he had a brilliant game. And the passes that he delivered from the left-hand side with the right foot, perfect. I mean, those are 2 of the best crosses and free kick first and a cross second that I've seen in this World Cup. Absolutely perfect pace on the ball, perfect height, and lovely goals. So I was happy that they were more attacking. That's African football, you know. Let's take it to them, you know. What do we have to do? Why do we have to be conservative? It's not Africa's way, you know.
Now let's look at the African angle. Now we have the Black Stars trying to also make it together with Morocco and then Senegal. Now, does this in a way justify the fact that Africa needs a lot of representatives in this particular World Cup?
Issa Hayatou, in my opinion, was always right. He said, guys, we have a lot of members and you are all asking for a lot of places at the World Cup, but you don't have anything to back it up with. We've had 3 quarterfinals only since 1970. Admittedly, we haven't had as many teams, but then when we had 6 teams in South Africa for the first time. We had 1 team went through. 1 team went through to the next round in our own continent. In Russia, in Brazil, we had 2 teams, Nigeria and Algeria. Knocked out in the round of 16. Nothing in the quarterfinals. Russia, disaster. Now, progress. But to go and stand on the roof and shout, you know, we should have more places, you have to earn it. The same with the Asians. You have to earn it. And you're not going to break this South American European monopoly until you take them on the field, beat them on the field, and then you can say, okay, listen, now we've sorted this World Cup out, now let's make it a little bit more level. So what Otto Addo has been saying this week, I disagree with him completely, and it's not me only. CAF themselves have said for many, many years, always said, guys, let's first get the evidence before we shout. And that's why at the CAF congresses you often had a member putting up his hand saying, President, what are we doing about pushing for more African representation at the World Cup? And the President always said, guys, steady. Let's get the results, then we can shout.
But with Tunisia beating France, the defending champions, with Morocco beating Belgium and qualifying from the group, with Senegal beating Ecuador, is it not justification enough?
100%, and it's a start. But let's do it again. Now we're going to have 9 teams, possibly 10 teams in USA. Let's get 6 or 7 into the next round. Then we can shout. We have to produce, and we're producing in this World Cup. So it's good, but you can't suddenly go from 9 to 15, for example. We've got 9 for the next World Cup. We might have 10. There's a playoff round where a 10 team can go through. So I'm positive. I think it's good.
What do you make of the performance of Mohammed Kudus in the Ghana team? A lot of people have started likening him to top players like Neymar.
Yeah, I think Mohammed Kudus. Look, we South Africans know Mohammed Kudus well because he knocked us out of the Cup of Nations. He scored 2 beautiful goals, and he was just a youngster. Nobody had heard of him, so we know him well. He also scored now in the World Cup qualifiers. I watch him with Ajax. They play him sometimes at number 9, which is interesting. I don't think he likes it much, but he does what the coach asks. Lovely player. World class. I think he needs a move to the Premier League or a bigger league than Holland to move into the next category. I would say let's not put pressure on the boy by giving him too much expectation. I think if he's going to move to a bigger league, then he can prove himself. Reports
are that Bayern Munich, Borussia Dortmund, Manchester City, Liverpool are all showing interest in Kudus. If you are to advise the youngster, where would you say he should look at?
I don't know. Go where the money is, my son. Go where the money is. You know, it's your career is short. Whoever's offering you the best deal, get into the Premier League. That's where the money is. You know, and Ghana is an Anglophone country. All your people are watching you at home. I mean, I'm not sure how many Ghanaians watch Dutch football. That's the place to be, you know, and you will develop as a footballer.
Thank you very much, Mark.
All the best, sir. Right.